As I've been cleaning out our bookshelves and making room for new resources, I've been thinking, what are some ways that you can use or put to good use some old curriculum or curriculum that you will not use again? Hi, I'm Sarah, and I have been homeschooling my two oldest sons through preschool and kindergarten, and we have a great collection of resources, and I'm so thankful for that. But just like pretty much every other homeschooler that I know of, there are some resources that we tried out and just didn't work so well for us. And so, what do I do with those things? Today, I have some ideas that I want to share with you so that if you are in the same situation, you can have a few options. The first thing I want to say is that it's good to hold on to things for a little while. I know there's this idea in minimalism of if you can't use it right now, or you've been holding on to it for like 6 months, you kind of get rid of it. And there is some wisdom to that. But when it comes to homeschool curriculum, the issue with that is that we have usually multiple different students and they have different needs. And so you can't predict necessarily down the road what you will need or what you will find really helpful. And so there might be a curriculum that you shelve for one child because it simply wasn't that season's the best for that season. But down the road, you have a lot more time to dedicate to a curriculum like that, and you just pull it out for one of your children, and it's so wonderful for them. And so I would just advise holding on to some curricula for a while. Now, if you really know this is something we definitely will not use again, or if you're going through a move, or like us, you live overseas and you just don't want to have a bunch of things to wade through in your apartment, or when you do need to pack up stuff, then there are a few options. The first one is to resell it, of course. And there are multiple different ways you can do this. One of my favorites has been through buy and sell groups on Facebook. Now, if you are not yet in these groups, you should know that there are some general buy and sell groups for any kind of homeschool resource. There are buy and sell groups for specific philosophies like Charlotte Mason and classical, and there are buy and sell groups for different specific curricula. Get into all of them. I would recommend cross-posting your resources on all of these different Facebook pages and then seeing where your buyer comes from, because you can't really predict necessarily where the best market is. Now, some things are a little easier than others to predict about that, but that has been a really useful resource, and I have resold several things through that. One cautionary word I will give is to always make sure that the buyer pays you first and that they pay you through PayPal goods and services. I believe that's what it's called, not through friends and family, because the reason why you do that is you want them to have the option, if they do not receive something or there's some kind of fraud involved, then refunds are possible through PayPal. They've got your back. But if you go some other route, that's not always the case. And so just as a seller, I've really enjoyed having that reassurance, knowing that the person buying can be totally at ease that they will receive either the item that I'm sending to them or they will receive their money back. I know I'm sending them the item, so there's nothing on my part, but I do want to make sure that I'm also paid. So just a word there. The other way that I have sold resources and also bought them is through eBay. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about this, but it's a great way to resell. I actually bought one of our Sunlight preschool curricula on eBay, and I found like the whole set. It was a really great deal, and I've also resold resources like Sing, Spell, Read, and Write through eBay, and just the sale time has been phenomenal usually for me. There has been a lot less hassle of responding to people's questions than there are in the buy and sell groups, because in those groups you get a lot of questions. Can you split this item into its pieces instead of selling the whole curricula? What year was this? All these kind of questions. And with eBay, it's kind of just straightforward. You list everything there. The person looks at it, they look at the pictures, and they're pretty much either buying it or not. So that has been a really good way to sell items pretty quickly. One thing to keep in mind as you are selling items is fair use rights. So some items that you might be downloading online and printing for yourself might not actually be resellable, depending on the copyright laws for that particular item or the sale terms with which you were given that item. So usually this applies to digital items where you're actually like forwarding a digital item to someone else and they can print it off for themselves. I'm not sure exactly what happens when you've printed off a resource, have it like spiral bound and everything, what the specific laws are about that, but just something to look into and be aware of. Okay, another thing that you can do with old curricula, you can use printed printed paper printouts for scrap paper. My parents did this for us, and I do this for my kids. Instead of giving my kids fresh drawing paper, I will give them scrap paper, where one side of the paper is completely clean and the other side might just have a few words on it or some kind of exercise for math or reading or phonics or something like that. And so we have a pretty good stash right now of scrap paper because I just recently went through curricula and printouts that I'm not going to use again. And so that's one way you can use that paper, scrap, and drawing paper. Another option is to donate it. So if you have a homeschool co-op, this is a great place to ask about donating your curricula. If your homeschool co-op does not yet have a curriculum library or like a lending library type of thing, then start it, ask about it. There's also the possibility that your church might have this. Some churches have a lot of homeschooling families. You might just find it useful to have some homeschooling curricula in their church library. If your curriculum is just completely falling apart, like the pages, the binding, everything is just all torn up, there's scribbles on it, whatever, and you just cannot sell it, you cannot donate it, there's no use for it really, I recommend using it like a magazine. So if you have young children in preschool especially, or kids who like to do collage work or just for some art work, just keeping pages or curricula that have a lot of great images, some textbooks maybe, and using those as cutouts. So like cutting out different items that fit with different letters for phonics or whatever. You can also use these as origami papers. I would love to hear your ideas about what you do with your old curricula. So if you have some, leave them in the comments below. Of course, if you can be spared the use of curriculum that just really doesn't work for your family, that's always great too. And recently, as I've been going through our resources, I have created several reviews of different curricula that we will not use again or that we will keep using. And so I'm going to link those right here and hope that they help you. I will see you guys next time. Ciao.